my last campaign, it got me thinking about my first political campaigns. Early on, back when I had no gray hair. And, you know, when I was running for the state senate, or I was running for the United States Senate in Illinois, Illinois is a big state like Florida, and we'd have to travel across the state. I didn't have Air Force One back then. No Marine One. So I didn't even have GPS. So I'd be driving, maybe I'd have one staff person in the car. And since we didn't have MapQuest, I had to have a map, and I'd fold it. And then I'd try to unfold it and then fold it back the way it was, and I'd get it all messed up. And I'd get lost. And then once I got to an event, I'd have to find parking, and sometimes I couldn't find a parking spot, or I'd get rained on. But you know, I have such fond memories of those early campaigns. Because no matter where I went, no matter what community, inner city, rural, town, meeting with black folks, white folks, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans, didn't matter what background people came from. No matter how much they looked different on the surface, there was a common thread to all the stories that I heard as I traveled around the state. Yeah, I'd meet an elderly couple, and they'd remind me of my grandparents. I think about my grandfather who fought in Patton's Army in World War II. My grandmother working on a bomber assembly line while he was gone, and when he came back, he was rewarded with a chance to go to college on the GI Bill. They were able to buy their first home with an FHA loan. And I think about the journey that they had traveled and everything that that greatest generation had done to build America. Or I'd meet a middle-class couple, and I think about Michelle's parents, especially her dad, who had multiple sclerosis. So by the time I met him, he could barely walk. Had to use 2 canes. Had to wake up an hour earlier than everybody else to get to work, because that's how long it took to get him dressed, but would not miss a day of work. And I think about Michelle's mom, who ended up working as a secretary for most of her life, and how, despite the fact that they never had a lot, they were able to give Michelle and Michelle's brother the best education possible. And how remarkable that was, this country that we live in. And then I meet a single mom, and I think about my own mother, who raised my sister and me with the help of my grandparents, because my dad left when I was a baby. And my mom didn't have a lot of money, but she worked hard, and she went to school at the same time, so that she could give her 2 children the best education possible, and they could travel on a path that she couldn't have even imagined. So the people I met in that first campaign, and every campaign since, they had all kinds of different stories, all kinds of different backgrounds. They were young and old, and every race and every faith, gay, straight, Democrat, Republican, Independent, but all of them shared the belief in that core American experience, that basic idea, that core bargain that makes us this shining example for the world. The idea that no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, America's a place where you can make it if you try. You know, as Americans, we don't expect handouts, but we expect hard work to pay off. We understand there will be setbacks, but we also know that responsibility should be rewarded. We believe that if you put enough effort into it, enough elbow grease into it, you should be able to find a job that pays the bills. Be able to have a home that you call your own. Health care that you can count on if you get sick. You should be able to retire with dignity dignity and respect. You should be able to provide your children with an education that gives them an even better shot than you had. That's what we believe. Jacksonville, we are here today because we recognize that this basic bargain, this essence of who we are as a people, this simple American dream, is at risk like never before. For more than a decade, it had been slipping away from too many hard-working people. Jobs and factories were shipped overseas. Folks at the top were doing better than ever before, but middle-class families saw their paychecks get smaller even as their bills got bigger. In Washington, the trillions that were spent on 2 wars and 2 tax cuts took us from record surpluses to record deficits. And on Wall Street, a culture of anything goes led to the worst economic crisis and financial crisis since the Great Depression. Now, ever since I first ran for this office, I've said it's going to take more than 1 year, or 1 term, or maybe even 1 president to restore the dream that built this country. And the financial crisis and economic crisis made our job that much harder. But I don't get discouraged, because the cynics who say that our best days are behind us, they haven't witnessed the everyday courage and the essential character of the American people. They haven't met the small business owners in Minnesota who chose to sacrifice some of their own perks, some of their own pay, to avoid laying off a single worker during that recession. They haven't been to the auto companies in Michigan and Ohio that were never supposed to build another car again, but now they can't build them fast enough. They haven't talked to the 55-year-old factory worker from North Carolina who decided that when the furniture industry left town, she'd get her degree in biotechnology from the local community college. Not just because she hopes it gets her a job, but because she hopes it tells her children, you don't give up on your dreams. That's the character I've seen in the American people. That's who we are. There are no easy fixes, no quick solutions to the challenges we face, but there is no doubt in my mind that we have the capacity to meet them, and we will meet them. We've got the best workers in the world, and the best entrepreneurs in the world, and the best scientists in the world, and the best researchers, and the best colleges, and the best universities. We're a young nation with the greatest diversity of talent and ingenuity from every corner of the globe. And Florida knows something about that. No matter what the naysayers tell us, there is not a country on earth that would not happily trade places with the United States of America. So the problem, what's standing in our way is not technical solutions to the problems of housing or education or dealing with the debt. We know how to deal with it. What's standing in our way is our politics. It's what's going on in Washington. It's the notion that compromise is a bad word. The notion that the only path forward is going backwards to the same top-down economics that got us into this mess in the first place. Opponent's entire plan, the same plan of his allies in Congress, is to cut more taxes for the wealthy, cut more regulations for banks, insurance companies, cut more investments in things like education and research, all with the hope that somehow that will create jobs and prosperity everywhere. That's what Mitt Romney believes. That's what folks in his party in Washington believe. But you know what, Florida? That's not what you and I believe. That's not what most Americans believe, no matter what party you belong to. Because this country was not built on top-down economics. This country was built from the middle class up. It was built from the bottom up. That's how we became the most prosperous nation in the history of the world. That's the path you can choose for America in this election. And that is why I am running for a second term